Welcome to another Rooted and Raw. All right, ladies.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Hey, good to be here.
Good
We're
to
here.
have y'all back again. And
Look at me, 2 in a row.
yeah, look at you 2 in a row.
Getting it.
Look at you 2 in a row. Come on.
I mean, because I'm about to have an extended hiatus, so
Yeah.
let's get excited.
Yeah, for real. We don't know. Do we know in the next time we'll see you?
Oh wait, the end of May.
Okay.
Yeah, when we
Good.
record at the end of May, I'll still be in town, so I
Okay.
can do that.
Good.
Yay.
Good. And then it's
Yeah, forget
and
it.
then it's yeah.
I'll see you in August.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
wow.
for certain. Well, for all of our listeners who can't see, let's go around and tell them who is here today.
All right. Well, hello, guys. This is Flora. I hope you guys are doing well, you podcast king and queens.
Ah, there it is. I knew you were gonna sneak it in.
Yeah, I
there.
was waiting for
Yeah,
it.
it's gonna come.
Yeah.
It's
Gotta
gonna
change
come.
it up a little bit.
Hey, everybody, this is Jaemi, the one who is elusive in attendance. Thank God it's like I'm not getting graded on it.
Right.
And it's Sherita. I don't have nothing big to say, but how y'all doing?
Oh, wait, come on. What happened to Sharita's in the house?
Right.
Sherita is in the building.
There
There
it
it
is. Yeah. And of course, you have D. We're excited this week. And like I said before, we don't know why we get so excited because we don't know what we're going to talk about until we pull. But we're
It's gonna be
excited
good.
anyway.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be good. Yeah. I believe that when we pull, it's meant to be exactly what needs
it's
to be
meant to be.
discussed.
Yeah.
So that's always exciting. Before we pull, let's jump right into our icebreaker. I'm very excited about this icebreaker. So,
What we got?
Oh goodness.
yeah, because it's kind of longer, so I want to make sure the wording is right. If you were on trial for being a Christian, what would be the number one piece of that's what you were talking about. The
Yes.
number one piece of evidence they would have to convict you.
Before you answer, y'all can answer down in the comments.
Ooh,
Yes,
yeah, please.
yes.
So we want to
answer.
hear from y'all.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Answer this question. I'm going to get her to repeat it again, but drop it in the comments. We would love to hear what y'all got to say.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you were on trial for being a Christian, what would be the number one piece of evidence they would have to convict you? All right.
Where we starting?
Go, Flora.
So for me, I actually asked Alex just to see what he would say.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Because he's my analytical. He's all like, "You're always doing stuff for other people. You're always doing things
Serving.
there. You're always
Yeah.
serving."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Yeah, I guess it's
Flora,
true."
It's a theme of your life.
It
you know?
is.
This is the thing of your
I
life.
love it because, like, you know, I kind of mentioned it, you know, in our last podcast. You know, I love to see people smile. Never know what's going on, just to give them that little happiness in there, and just letting them know that, you know, I do have you in my mind. I do think about you, and you know, of course, your happiness is my happiness. So,
Oh, I love that.
hanging around with you guys, so like, why not? So it's definitely serving. If anyone who needs help, you know, you need help moving, I'm there for you. Want me to watch your kids or look after it, I'm there. I mean,
She ain't
or just to
lying either. She
listen,
will
I'm
actually
there.
do it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. So, I don't.
She putting the cup down.
The number one piece of evidence. That's because, you know, I talk with my hands and I'm trying not to splash coffee everywhere.
Yeah,
Like, I
for
want
sure.
Stephanie to still love me. So, the number one piece of evidence, I would say, it's probably that I am always singing worship music or playing. Like, if you walk by my office, it's like it's pumping out. And like my sister Ashley, she'll probably not remember that she said this, but I got saved when I was 15. So it's, you know, high school and getting ready for school in the mornings and stuff. She was in elementary school. And she said she can remember, like, waking up before she needed to get up and hear me in the bathroom singing praise and worship music, and then just going back to sleep. And yeah, I got volunteered to teach a class because, hey, Jaemi has a history degree. Jaemi likes worship and she worships all the time. I'm like, really? So I'm gonna go with that'd be the number one piece of evidence is always some kind of worship song coming out my mouth.
I love it.
So, my response to the question is my worship. For those of you who do not know me, I am a worship leader.
Yes, you
and
are.
my heart is in my worship. I love praising God. And I love when God uses me to minister to other people through my worship.
good.
That is what I am here to do. I always say, I don't care if I'm just an angel in the heavenly choir. As long as I'm in heaven, that's what I'll be doing. That's what
Oh,
you'll
but
find
you
me.
are that voice. Ooh.
I have always told her she doesn't just have a beautiful singing voice, it's anointed. You can hear the anointing
Oh,
when she
absolutely.
sings. It's beautiful.
Goosebumps all
Maybe
the time.
one day we'll have her.
No, she won't.
She'll spit a little something for us.
We'll put it like as a blooper, you know, catch her off guard kind of thing.
yeah,
You got that? Okay, yeah.
Start
I got
recording
that.
good to sing. Absolutely.
Mine, I think, would be witnesses to pouring into women. I think that would be my number one thing that I would get convicted with, is that women who I've witnessed to, women who I have poured into, women who I have loved on, that'd be my conviction.
Absolutely.
So before
Well
we
said.
get started, I want to give a shout out. We love shouting out on this.
We do.
do.
We do. We share
We
the
shout
love.
out every
Everybody.
chance we get.
Why not?
So shout out to Jessica Thomas.
Yes.
Y'all may not know who she is, and that's okay because
all
we
right.
know who she
Uh-huh.
is. She is the artsy person behind our amazing logo.
Yeah.
That logo that you see on all of our podcast platforms was made by Jessica Thomas. So
Yep.
shout out to you. Thank you. And we appreciate your heart to help us out. You didn't
Yep.
have to, and you did. So we
Yep.
thank you. The joy of doing stuff and being Christian and being good people is that people are willing to help you.
Yes.
So
Yep.
a lot of what made this podcast work was not because we're all a bunch of talented people. We just know a bunch of talented people.
Right.
We just
For real.
know a bunch of talented people
very
and
blessed.
have been
Yes.
kind to those
That's a
talented
blessing.
people.
Yeah.
And they
Blessed
are
beyond
blessed.
measure.
Blessed
That's it.
beyond
That's it.
measure.
Blessed beyond
That is
measure.
us.
Yeah.
All right.
And this
Well-
is like, I think this is the PSA though for don't be a jerk to people.
Oh, come on.
Because like,
on.
But for
because
real.
like, who wants to help you do things for you, with you, if you are a jerk? But if you are a genuine person, if
That's
you're
right.
nice,
Come
then
on.
people are willing to come alongside you and say, yeah, I can give my talent to that thing.
Yep.
I can
Yeah.
give my talent to that thing.
Like my
Yeah.
coworker
Like, for
says, ting.
That's it. But like, just be a genuinely
good.
nice person, and people are going to want to help you and do things.
No, for real.
Yeah.
No, for real. I think that's evidence of that's good evidence as well, is that people want to help you and have your back because you are loving to them,
Right.
because you are
Yep.
kind to them. All right, let's pull
do
our
it.
topic.
All right,
It is
Sherita, let's
Sherita.
go.
She is up
Let's
this
see what we
week
got going.
in our lovely little.
I get so
Harry Potter
nervous.
box.
Do anybody get nervous pulling
No.
out the box? Oh my gosh. This,
no.
Wait, let me get that one because that was in my hand. All right, let's see what we got. For today.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
What role
Uh-oh.
does therapy or mental health care play in spiritual growth?
Oh my goodness.
Lord have mercy. Okay. All right. So we shouted out. Come on with the disclaimer.
Yeah, let's
D.
go with our
I
disclaimer.
know Tim's gonna be
So-
commenting on
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Tam is probably somewhere.
Commenting like,
Okay, so first of all, we are theologians. However, we don't have degrees in theology. We
Correct.
study the Bible
Yes.
for the benefit of our relationship with God.
Yes.
So, but we don't study the Bible for the benefit to do anything that people with a degree does. And we are not, now this is really important for this.
Yes.
And we
Right,
are
right.
not licensed therapists, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists. We don't have that licensure, okay?
Just experience.
So what we're working with right now, and this is going to be really, really important, is sheer experience based off of our love for the Bible, our theology that we've pulled, but also our experiences.
And what that means is if you are under the care of a licensed mental health professional, what we are saying to you does not supersede what they are working through with you. Right. We're using the word of God to tell you things, and you can be just like the Bereans and go test the word of God against what we're saying. We encourage you to do that. But everything else we're saying, we do not replace your mental health professional. Please do not go to somebody and say, well, the Root and Raw podcast, they said to do this, so that's what I'm doing. No.
Yeah, also don't not go to your therapist because you watch Rooted and Raw.
No,
don't do that.
Please do not.
Still go to therapy. If that's what you do, I'm not saying you have to, but if you are already in therapy and you have a counselor, do not try to replace your counselor with Rooted and Raw's podcast. Okay, that's not how this works.
I think so. We've kind of rolled into the giving some of the response to that question.
Yeah.
So I would also like for y'all to answer the question down in the comments.
Yeah.
Rooted and Raw comment. What role does therapy or mental health care play in spiritual growth?
Ooh, this is
or do you think it even plays a role?
Okay, because that matters.
That matters.
That matters. So this is a really, really, really big one for me.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to start this one off on you, Flora, because I know a lot of some of this is newer in your life, and so I'd like to start with you because I know this is a newer aspect of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I've always seen it, always been like, yes. It's funny though, because in my Hispanic culture, like growing up, like that was like X, like that is not something that you do.
That's right.
You just put, your big girl pants on and you keep it moving, like, or like the saying goes, sana, sana, colita de rana, that solves it everything. Like, you're
tell
good.
Us what that means.
Huh?
You got to tell us what it means.
Healed, but of a frog.
Okay.
If you don't heal today, you'll heal tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It sounds cuter in Spanish.
Absolutely does.
It does.
But that was it. And then, with my ex, he was in the military. So like in the military first, like, no, you got to be hard. You can't be going if you did go to therapy or did go to counseling, it considered you soft and is part of being in the military. Like that's not a thing. Mm-hmm. And more so for a male figure as well. That's not a thing. He was a drill sergeant too. Like, no, you don't do that. You just deal with it on your own, which is absolutely not the answer. But yeah, my youngest son, he is going through some stuff. He didn't want to talk to anyone, and it is very important not to keep things, and I think we've mentioned it in other podcasts before, don't keep it all inside. You need to speak it out. You need to talk to someone. And I offered him, hey, you can speak to your Uncle Daryl. You can speak to my cousin Eddie, who's here. You can speak to your dad. He did not want to speak to anybody, and everything just kept balling up inside, and like, this is not healthy. And him and I, we do have a good communication, which I'm very grateful and blessed for that. But, there's certain things, you kind of don't want to tell your parent. You don't want to talk to your mom or people that know your mom and stuff, which I totally get it. And it just got to a point where it's like, nope, this is it. We're going to go ahead and go, and you're going to talk to someone. They're not going to tell me anything, and they will disclose that. The only time they will tell me if it's something like extreme, because I need to do it and I need to take the appropriate actions, or they need to advise me, this is what we need to do. And of course, I'm the one who has to sign the paperwork. So far it's going well. He's opened up more to his dad, which I'm very grateful. He's on a like, look, at any point in time you need me, doesn't matter what time or day, call me, text me. And he's doing that. So that's huge for him to actually step from going to not wanting to speak to absolutely no one to now being like, I'm going to reach out to my dad. So it's definitely been working. But of course, we're just starting off. So just praying it continues heading upward.
Okay.
So I was going to say two things to bounce off what you just said. Just because, so therapy does not just consist of a licensed person. You might have a friend that you can talk to, a parent, you know, it could be anybody that you're comfortable with talking to. Now, I'm probably about to make a few people mad or make some people mad because in African American culture, we had that phrase, what happens in this house stays in this house.
Period.
And that set a lot of us up for
Failure.
holding it in, not talking to nobody. You had sexual assaults happening. You had so much stuff going on in the home that nobody talked about because we had that fear of
What would happen
you.
if you talk?
What happened if you opened your mouth and said anything?
Yeah.
So I do not stand on that phrase anymore. I do not stand on it. I had to deal with it growing up, but it is not something that I hold on to now because I want my children, when I take my kids to the doctor, this prime example, when I take them to the doctor or if I have to take them to the emergency room, they are at the age where they can speak for themselves. So you're going to tell the doctor what is going on with you, what you're feeling, what is wrong, where your pains are. I'm not going to be I'm not speaking for you.
Yeah.
You're going to tell them so it don't look like, oh, this child was coached before they came into my office. So make sure that, you know, you feel comfortable with talking to people and you have someone to talk to. Don't hold it in because you're going to explode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where bad things
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
No, for real.
That's good. That's good. So I think therapy plays a big role in life for those who need it. I have done some counseling myself in some crisis points. My sons have for different things, and it's one of those communication things like Flora was talking about, just being able to have somebody to communicate with because it's hard to talk to our parents. But I believe that therapy, counseling, those are vehicles that allow us to process big things in a space that is beneficial to us, and they help our spiritual growth because sometimes we don't know what those big things are.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
Sometimes we have feelings of whatever and we don't understand, remember, know where they stem from, and they can be a barrier to hearing the voice of God in a deeper way, moving forward in a relationship because they become a hindrance. And so if we can address those things, then that's even better. And for us as Christ followers, if we can have, if we have somebody that is a biblically based counselor, that just takes even further because they're also using the word of God to help us walk through these. But I do believe that if your mental state is in such a way that you need the help of a professional to move through things, then all it's going to do is help you be a better Christ follower because you're improving your state. That's going to improve how you see, interpret, interact with things. And that's the physical and the spiritual.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of key points when you think about what it looks like as a Christian. First of all, going back to what you said, like we very much had one of those homes as well where it was like we Black, we don't need that. That's what we were told. I mean, I'm just
We don't
being
do
rooted
therapy.
and raw.
Yeah.
We don't do
do
therapy.
That's for white people is what my family used to tell us. And so for a long time, here I am going through devastating things within the confines of my home where I am being abused and being hurt badly. And because we don't tell anybody anything outside of our house.
Taboo.
Don't do that because we Black and we should just be able to, we're strong. That's what it means when they say, well, we're Black. We don't
Suck
need that.
it
It's just
up.
strong. You get
Right.
over it. Right. I spent years bottling stuff up, and it ultimately led to suicide attempts. Like we rooted and raw, so I'm gonna be real rooted
Come
and
on.
raw with
Come
you,
on.
right? It led to suicide attempts because I couldn't talk about it. So everything that was happening was just bottling up, and
Yeah.
it got to a place where, now mind you, we also didn't, in my household, we didn't really go to church like that. We
Right,
didn't
right.
have any belief system for real. I think we went on Easter, maybe Mother's Day, but that was about it, right? And the church we went to, well, it was questionable. We're going to leave that right where it is.
Okay.
So it was one of those things where bottling it up became too much.
Yeah.
And I tried to take my life.
Because it comes overwhelming.
Thank you, God, that I was not successful. That's one area of my life that I am grateful I wasn't successful.
Yeah.
Although at the time I
think
was
we
pretty
all are.
mad.
Yeah.
Aw.
All right.
Yeah, no, Flora's right. We're happy.
You're gonna need
Eh,
to
but I
buy-
mean, it's one of those things where it's like, man, like I look back now and I think all these things that God has done in my life up until this point is because He didn't let me. Because at the end of the day, I definitely should have died. I definitely should have died. I don't take that for granted.
He had a purpose
should've-
for you.
But He had a purpose. And later on in life, He showed me because I was mad when I didn't die. I was peed off when I didn't die.
What did
and
you
I
say?
asked, I said, you suck so bad that you can't even kill yourself, was the words to myself.
All that
That's-
negativeness.
That's heartbreaking. But it was what I said to myself. Later on in life, God showed me, He said to me, He said, remember, because I asked, not right away, because again, I didn't really know that God was watching over me, but I asked later on, why didn't you just let me die?
Yeah.
And later on, He said, this is why. I had plans for your life that were bigger than you.
Come on.
So to take you, to allow you to take yourself, yeah, no, that ain't a thing that we doing because I had a plan.
Come on.
So now, as someone who has been through therapy, counseling, I did the EMDR therapy. I can't never get the words right, so if you want to know, you have to look it up. Because it's the eye movement, desensitization, reprocessing, I think, EMDR therapy. And it was amazing. My EMDR therapist was a believer who also goes to the same church I go to. I didn't know that right away, but she goes to the same church. And it was amazing because my therapy didn't exclude God.
Yeah.
It included, he was a big part of it. And so I also think that there was a piece of it that I'm grateful for, because when my son started struggling, I was able to see that
Yeah.
and recognize that he was struggling with something that was very familiar.
Yeah.
Very familiar. So I look back now and I think, man, here I was going through all this stuff, and God said it wasn't just for me. I would not have been able to see what I saw in him and then walk him through that process.
If you hadn't gone through.
Had I not gone through it myself. So I think that there's big parts of it mattering. It does not take the place of the word. Let me
Right.
just go ahead and put that out there. Like we still should be reading our word. We still should be being a part of a church.
Yeah.
I don't really care what, as long as it's a Bible believing church.
Bible believing and Bible teaching.
Bible teaching church is what I actually meant to say.
Yeah.
Bible teaching church. Be a part of it because it's that community aspect that's necessary. The funny thing was, it wasn't until my sophomore year in high school, and I had a counselor there who started what he called the Pure Counseling Program. And I signed up for it. We actually signed up for it in ninth grade, at the end of ninth grade, and it was to start in the 10th grade. And he says at the very beginning, after everybody was selected to be peer counselors, he said, I can't expect you to go listen to other people's problems if no one's ever listened to yours. So before we get started, before we ever step outside the doors to counsel, before I even teach you how to do the peer counseling, we will talk about our stuff. And it was the first time I'd ever shared, and it changed my life. I was 16, 17.
It goes back to the whole process, when you're on an airplane, you put your mask on first and then.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did, and it changed my life. That was when I knew that I was meant to be a counselor of some sort. I had it in my mind what I knew that looked like. God, you know what they say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Yep.
Yeah, he shifted all those
Yeah,
plans.
how's that working out for you, Dee?
But it's not quite what I thought it was. But I do
Elevated
get to
it, but-
counsel.
Yeah, you do.
I do
said
get to
elevated it.
counsel. I
Yeah.
have a degree in Christian counseling.
Yep.
And that looks a lot different than in the secular realm and the licensure. But I do get to counsel. And so I believe in it wholeheartedly. But I do have to emphasize that it never should take the place of
the
your relationship and building up who you know God to be in the Word. They can go really well together.
I also feel like if you are not in a place where you're in the church or you believe in that Christian counseling is the route to go, we're not telling you it's the only way.
No.
There are other counselors, there are other therapists out there who can do the job. We just, for me, I'm going to say for me, I prefer Christian counseling because that's my faith. That's what I believe. So that I stand on biblical counseling for my life. But if you aren't where I am, not everybody is walking the same walk. Not
That's
everybody
right.
is ready to hear, somebody might be saying, I don't know if I believe all that yet. That's fine. You can find a counselor anywhere.
So I have a question on that for many people, and like myself, like I'm just getting new to it. What is the difference?
Ooh, okay.
What's the difference from that Christian faith and then from a regular? Like, how is that being put into it?
So as a secular counselor or a counselor that is not in the Christian faith, they actually are not allowed to talk about religion.
Gotcha.
And so they have to do everything based off of the teachings that they got in their degree. There is a lot of very specific things. However, they are allowed to do things that Christian counselors can't. So as a Christian counselor, I could talk about God all day, and I learned a lot of different things about mental health, family counseling, things like that, and I can use all of that, but it all is all encompassing of God's word. But I can't diagnose somebody with depression or anxiety. A Christian counselor usually doesn't do that unless you're a Christian counselor with a license. So there are Christian counselors. So my MDR therapist was a counselor that does both. She actually does with your faith and without your faith. And that is your decision. And so that you can diagnose if you have that licensure. So understanding that if I do counseling with you, I don't have a license, right? I have a degree and I have experience and I have learning knowledge, but I don't have a license. So then there's that, knowing and understand licensure, and that licensure allows, so if you need to be diagnosed with, if you think you have ADHD or if you think you have bipolar disorder or whatever the case may be,
anxiety.
Somebody.
you need to talk to a doctor with a license.
Yep.
Hear me? A doctor with a license. Your homegirl cannot diagnose you. WebMD
You can't
Oh,
diagnose
Lord,
yourself.
he cannot diagnose
I was
you.
gonna say, you can't diagnose
So
yourself.
stop pulling that stuff up on Google, trying to find the answers to all the things that are wrong with your life.
Yeah. And I would say too, another thing to weigh out when you're looking at counselors and things is if you have a counselor who is rooted in just the science of, and they don't
good.
have that faith,
That's good.
then you're going to come up against some things that are going to be in direct opposition
That's
to
good.
what you believe.
That's-
right?
that's good.
Because the world does not think the way we think, and so they don't operate the way we do. And so counselors are going to do their jobs, but in
Right.
doing their jobs, they may suggest things that are absolutely opposed. They might suggest things that, as Christ followers, we know do not line up with the Word of
That's
God.
right.
And so you have to, that's a very fine line to walk, a very fine boundary that you have to place of they are helping me. However, not everything they say is the truth rooted in what I believe.
Right.
And so if your faith is not strong, that can create some crisis there for you.
Yep.
And so that's where the having someone, even if you have a counselor, a therapist who is a Christ follower, but they do not do biblically based counseling, it's still their approaches and the way they do things are still going to be different.
Has to be
because
legally.
that mind, it has to be legally, but even the mindset is going to be different. Because I know the counselor that I saw before we moved to Fayetteville, he is a Christian, but he did not practice biblically based counseling. So in our sessions, we would talk and we would talk through next steps, and he would give me my homework and things. It was never a look at something that was going to be in opposition to my faith. He may not have said, well, in the Bible this, in the Bible that, but what he would say to me was something that did align with what I know to be biblical truth.
Yeah.
And so those are important distinctions to look at and make and to be very, very cognizant of. And I would say for those of us with children in therapy, that's a very, very big thing to look at.
Yeah, I definitely when I took my son, we searched out biblical, and luckily I had a friend who was able to refer me to one that she had already used for her children that was biblically based counseling, and it was amazing, and it's done a great deal for not just him, for our family in general. There were things that we had to learn about some of the stuff we were doing, because we can swear up and down we doing everything just right, and then find out that the way you parent this kid is not the same way as you parent this kid, right?
Yeah.
But listen, as a mom, when you got more than one kid, it's like sometimes it's got to be, it's a lot going on, especially if you work a job and you got all
we're
these
doing
other
one
things.
size fits all. Let's
go. I'm gonna need y'all to all be able to circumvent this one thing right here. But you learn, in the process of, because I remember his counselor would actually pull me in first. And have a conversation with me. What are some things that you're seeing that you want me to talk to him about, or how are you doing? And it felt like I was having my own little mini parenting counseling with her prior to, and it was very helpful because she would give me tools as a mother of a child who is very sensitive emotionally. And one of the things that she told me, now I'm gonna have to look at the camera for this one, for our moms out there. Especially our boy moms. Y'all stop telling these boys they not supposed to cry.
Oh, come on.
Stop telling these little boys that they not supposed to cry, because we are messing them up for who they are as men. As a man, you should be able to cry, but how many men out there don't cry because they heard their whole lives that you're not supposed to cry? What I had to learn to tell my son, because he's emotional, so he cry all the time. Love you, kid. I would tell him, if you're going to cry, have a reason.
Have a reason.
Have a reason. So if you struggling with some stuff and you crying, let's talk through it. But if things ain't going right on your stupid game and you start crying, I'm going to throw that game out the window.
I'll give you the same.
I'm going to give you a reason
to cry.
I'm going to give you a reason.
You cry for that? I'm going to give you a reason.
Either you get a reason or I'm going to give you one.
Yes.
I promise you.
That's old school parenting right there. Old school parenting 101.
I agree.
But so it's one of those things where it was like, and it sounds facetious, but seriously, like we're telling them that they shouldn't cry, and that's inaccurate. They absolutely should be able to cry if there is something going on. If you get your feelings hurt at school and it really messes with you, because if you have an emotional child, that bothers them differently.
It does.
Yeah.
And I had, I want to say it was Laura Fletcher. Shout out. I love that woman.
Love Laura Fletcher.
She told me once, she said, when we do things like that to our children, we disrupt some of the things that God is doing with them. How do you know that emotional state that he has is not a part of who God called him to be later? So then when you tell him that he absolutely shouldn't be able to cry, then you have not not stop them from becoming who God calls, because ultimately God has that. But you
Right.
sure stunt it.
Yeah.
You sure absolutely detour it. You make it happen slower, because you create this thing that puts up a wall for him,
Right.
when that's actually relative to who he's actually supposed to walk into being later.
Right.
And then later have to go to counseling or therapy to have to deal with it.
That,
Right, to fix
but that
it.
right
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
but that right there.
Prime example, I had a customer come into the building, and he comes in with his son, and the little boy is terrified of the elevators. So from the time they walk through the door to the time they get to my desk, the little boy is crying and reaching up for his dad to pick him up. And he looked at me, said, I know you're not crying about no elevator. You better stop that. But you know, he's afraid. He's afraid. You know it. You can see it. So why not just give him that security of knowing
That he
you're there to
needs.
protect him? Pick him up if you're going to ride the elevator. If you're not even going to go near it, still pick him up. Let him. There's nothing wrong with picking up your son's men.
Not at all.
Unless he's
There's
25. Don't pick up
unless
his
he's
25.
25.
Don't do that.
Listen.
Because I done seen some people
Right.
carrying around some kids that's taller than them. Put that baby
Right.
down. Okay, go
So
ahead.
there's nothing wrong with picking them up and reassuring them that
Mm-hmm.
you are for them. You're there to protect them.
good. Yeah.
And so shout out for Hope Through Horses. My son, I had to put him in therapy, and they use therapy. They use animals for therapy.
that's awesome.
Yes.
So they had pigs and the horses, and my favorite was the horses. Even though I wasn't the one in therapy, I was sitting on the grounds and I could just see them. I love horses, but they had all these animals, and they would feed them. They would walk them. They would, while they're talking, they are nursing these animals, like feeding and walking and brushing, whatever they need to do to that specific animal. And that helped him. It helped him nurture. And there's nothing wrong with having a nurturing male child.
Not
right.
at all.
It just shows that they have a loving side. It shows that they have
Compassion.
feelings and compassion. So, therapy can look different to everybody. It does not have to look the same.
It's not a one size
Yeah.
fits all.
There you
No,
go.
it's
It's not.
It's not.
It's just finding
not.
that right fit. Because
Yes.
the first one that my son was, he was like, he was all just meh, like I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
But this one right here, he's all like, oh, I like her.
Mm-hmm.
She's a lot of character. It's a perfect fit for me. And the first time I met her, I knew. I was like, ooh, you're gonna like her.
Look, I was like, do he like her?
I had the same thought. Not gonna lie, I had the same thought. I want to interject something. It goes back to this: how we are raising young men. And it's so when Carla and I got married, we were young. We raised each other. Like, I'm 46. I'll be 47 in September.
Come on,
in
shout out to
September
looking
we will
amazing.
be.
No, right?
In September, we'll be 27 years married.
Oh,
so
come
we
on.
grew
Goals,
up
marriage
together.
goals.
Like, literally, we were 18 and 20 when we got married. We grew up together. And there were things that we had to learn how to do and communicate about. But when we had Tony, I purposed that when Tony is an adult and he goes off to be married, I am sending him to a wife better than what I got his dad. Not saying that his dad was a horrible person
Right.
or any of that, but like some of the things that Carlo didn't know when we got married, Tony was going to know. And so there was never any of that, you need to man up, don't cry, and all these. But there were conversations, right? Like, why are you crying? What's going on?
Yeah.
Right. And then as the boys got older, because David is an emotional child, and he was our emotional one. But as they got older, it was, remember, your feelings are valid, but your feelings are not facts.
They're not facts.
Right. They're not the facts of the situation. Your feelings are valid because God created us with these feelings. We
Yeah.
have these emotions. We need to express them, but it has to be in a healthy way. And
Right.
we have to understand that those feelings are not the things. So we have to stop saying things like "man up," "be a man," right? And even to our daughters, we have to say, don't say, "Oh no, this is how women do. This is what women do." No, because the thing is that what you want in a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law?
yeah.
If you find or found early in marriage things that you were not happy about that your spouse did, or maybe even still does, you feel like they're closed off in communication and all these things, why would you raise someone to be the same way, to perpetuate the cycle of what you went through or are going through, right? Stop it. Show them the right way, so that way they can be better in their marriage than you are, no matter the state of your marriage. It could be good, but why not make your kids great?
This girl,
Right?
I
And
need
just
her
keep
to
going.
stop talking.
And that's
Well, I'm done with the point, so.
And overall, like, that's what we want. We want our kids, you know, as parents, we always say, like, hey, we want the best thing for our
absolutely.
kids and want the better of them. And that's the only, and that's one thing that I can't say about me and my boys is that we have a better communication than I did with my parents.
Absolutely.
And their dad says the exactly same thing.
Us too.
Other people, it's like, man, they're like, my two boys are way taller than me, but they have no fear, no objection of showing that they love me out in public.
That's right.
Absolutely.
They don't care. I mean, we were at my son's, he's in the NTHS, and, you know, he had to, he was helping out for those new ones that were being inducted. And he went out there, and all of a sudden, you know, he gives me a kiss on the forehead, and he goes up on stage. He didn't care they were there.
Yep.
It don't matter. And people just like, look, like, oh, okay.
Like, oh, I'm sorry, my son loves you or loves me.
Right,
Like,
right.
I'm sorry, that's not how your
And
experience
I love
is, but
that
it's
because
mine.
I didn't have that. So having that communication and being able to like, look, you can come for me,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, good or bad. And especially, as I've said it before, I don't like liars. Don't lie to me. I'd rather hear it from you than from anybody else.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
So-
they've done.
Oh, so sorry. So I have my son, the one who's in the Navy, Isaiah. Hi, miss you. Something he does for me when he was home, something he did for me when he was home at night, and he would, whenever his girlfriend would be by the house, he would make sure if they were leaving to go somewhere, he would not leave the house until he put my covers on me, cut my light off, cut my TV off, gave me a kiss on my forehead, and she got to see that. So she got to see that. So, of course, I'm a mom that's going to be like, oh, she's going to be getting that special treatment, and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Right.
That that is something that he'll be doing, so he knows.
Yeah.
He loves you by the love that he should. I've always believed you'll know how a man will treat you by the way he treats his mother. And some, I'll say some, because you have some men who, well, no, it stands. If the way he treats his mother, you can expect that that's how he'll treat you. If he don't treat his mother right, he's not going to treat you right. If he treats you well, if he treats his mother well, he'll treat you well.
Unless he can't treat her well, and then
Unless he
like,
can't.
there are situations we understand.
There are. Yes.
I'd hate to cut this short, and honestly, the way I'm feeling right now, I feel that there's more. So this may actually be a part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like
we'll
it.
have Tam here next time,
Yeah.
who
Yes.
has a massive story about this.
Yes.
Yes.
So I
I love it.
actually think that we need a part 2 of this.
I
There's
do, because
more.
that flew by really quick, and I feel
yeah.
like there's
It
much
did.
more
Yes.
to speak
and
in
we out of
regards to
time,
it.
like for real.
Right.
So
Yes.
I think that there's
Absolutely.
more that needs to be shared here, because there's aspects of this that we haven't even got to touch on yet.
Right.
And so get with us next week. I think we'll do a part 2. We'll have Tam, who also has an explosive testimony to counseling, Christian counseling, and things like that. And
Yeah.
so real quick, lightning round or speed round. Sorry, I don't want to take that from Craig Rochelle. He got lightning round. I'll be watching this podcast and he say lightning round, so I say speed round. Real quick, last minute thing you want to say?
Finding that right fit. I seems as that's the one thing. Finding that right fit to, you know, just like any other relationship, you're going to be starting one. You want to be speaking out everything. Just finding that right fit for you.
That's good. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Ooh,
You have to do that, because
Yes.
we can't help you. Nobody can help you if you don't ask for help.
That's
Right.
right.
So you have to ask for help, whether that's God help me, because I promise you he's right there and he's ready to
That's
help
right.
you. If it's a friend or if it's a professional, you have to ask for help, because nobody knows that you need it until you say you need it. So don't be afraid to do it.
A closed mouth does not get fed.
Period.
I agree with both. Both ladies said something similar to what I wanted to say. You have to find what's right for you, and you can't be afraid to speak out on it. You have to know that you can talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah, my last one would be, if you are out there and anything that has been said is resonating with you, if there's any fear, if there's any of those stigmas that your family created, pray. Ask God, is this something that you're leading me to? Show me. Because maybe there is something for you and you are missing it because of fear. Maybe your relationship with God is being stunted because of things, unforgiveness, things that are happening in your life, whatever those look like. Come on, part two.
Come on.
Whatever things look like. And so I would ask you, even now, to start praying and asking God, is this something? Is that I felt something in me as these ladies were sharing. Thank you so much for joining us. Man, come back next week for part 2, because we're going to keep this conversation going. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram. Wherever you watch this content, subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and on Spotify.
Like us,
drop
share
comments.
us, all of it.
Yeah, like, share. Please share. Someone out there, someone you know is needing to hear this content.
Yes.
Don't be hesitant to share. It only takes copy and pasting a link and dropping it in a text message. Until next time, stay rooted, stay raw.